Hello, I'm Joan Brown. It's my great pleasure to host this segment of the Marin Women's Hall of Fame show. Since 1987, the Hall of Fame has inducted over 150 Marin women of distinction, women who have made immense contributions to the county of Marin and its residents, as well as to the world and beyond. Honorees have distinguished themselves in many fields: education, science, business, philanthropy, the arts, politics, law, philosophy, religion. Each honoree has been a force for positive change in our community. It is a great privilege to acknowledge and document their contributions. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Cheryl Paddack, who's being honored 2023 for her pioneering work in social change. Welcome. Cheryl is the CEO of North Marin Community Service. So let's begin with your telling us a little bit about yourself, your family, people who've influenced you, your childhood. Just kind of give us a little personal background, please.
Well, thank you, Joan. It's an honor to be here with you and among the other esteemed inductees. I've had quite the journey in my life. I'm from Victoria, British Columbia in Canada, and always, throughout my whole life was influenced by being in community, by my parents initially. And today I'm in my 50s. I'm very proud of the career that I've achieved, and I have two amazing young adult children. One lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the youngest lives in North Carolina at Duke as a nurse. And I think that I've had a lot of influences in my life that have led me to where I am today, and I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about your role as CEO?
Sure. Well, I consider myself to be in the honored position as a CEO of North Marin Community Services, and I'm a team leader. So we celebrate our successes and our growth opportunities, and we've just been on this incredible journey and have tripled in size over the last 15 years since I've been there. I have a very passionate board of directors. There's 18 members, including 2 teen members. And we've really grown a diverse team of 320 staff and volunteers, and can really meet vulnerable community where they're at, because we have the most diverse team we have in the 50-year history of the organization.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's quite that's a kind of accomplishment. Did you want to say anything more about that?
Well, I have a lot to say. How long do we have?
What aspect of being a CEO do you enjoy most?
I think, where I'm at in my life, I want to surround myself with people who are passionate about what they do. And just over 20 years ago, I switched from for-profit to nonprofit. I was in mostly government and for-profit work in Canada. And now that I have grounded in human service work here in Marin County, I feel honored every day. I get up, I work way too many hours, but I have learned through my work that a work-home-life balance is extremely important for me and the team that I lead, and to model, who we serve as well. I think everyone has the potential to be a leader, and I look forward to inspiring more people to be in leadership.
Great. So, can you kind of describe the person that you are? What makes you you? Who are you?
Well, I identify, my pronouns are she, her, and I am a dual citizen of the United States and Canada. I'm a mother. I'm a wife of a wonderful person. He's my best friend of 30 years. We just celebrated our 30th year anniversary.
Congratulations.
And I'm a breast cancer survivor. I've had a lot of trauma actually in our family over the last 10 years. My dad, who was my mentor, he had a long struggle with Alzheimer's and other dementia in our family with other family members. Also, people in my family who struggle with substance use. And 5 years ago, my best friend took her life and died by suicide. And so these times in my life that were very traumatic, I think back on them and how much I learned about myself and the village that I surround myself with and my trusted advisors. And I can honestly say I wouldn't be where I am today without the people that I've surrounded myself with.
It's lovely you found those people.
Thank you.
We spoke earlier about your journey moving to the U.S. and becoming a citizen. Tell us more about that experience for you and how it's influenced your leadership and your decisions today, because I know you were here a long time when you weren't a citizen.
Right, right. Well, like many immigrants who may get immigration advice that doesn't serve them well, we were one of those people and families. So unfortunately, due to circumstances, it ended up being a separation of my husband and I at the border for 18 months. And so the kids and I ended up in Victoria, in my hometown, fortunately, without furniture and clothing. And so we connected with this community center that provided us with furniture and access to preschool and food pantry every week. And so having that experience really changed me. Reel the tape forward 18 months. My husband at that time was living in the U.S., he was a U.S. citizen, although that doesn't help us get across the border, unfortunately.
Is he also Canadian?
He's not. No, he's American. So just lessons for green card holders out there. I had my green card finally after 18 months, and my kids are now both dual and American citizens. And when we crossed the border, it was a hard time in our lives, and I initially ended up working at Guide Dogs for the Blind. After 7 years of being there, it just was yearning for more. And I didn't really know what that was for me until I opened, at that time it was Craigslist, opened Craigslist, and I said to myself, that's my next job, Executive Director of Nevada Youth Center. And Nevada Youth Center emulated the place in Victoria that really helped my family. And at that time it wasn't really a connection point for me in my head, but it was in my heart. And I ended up becoming executive director there. And years later, we were hosting the New Americans campaign at our center in partnership with Canal Alliance. And I was really inspired by the immigrants, hundreds of people in line wanting to become American citizens. And through that naturalization process, just really being humbled and wanting to be democratic and vote and show their voice. So I ended up applying for my American citizenship, and a couple of years ago I did become an American citizen, and I threw myself a big party.
Yay!
I even had the mayor there.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. You moved to North Marin Community Services. You came in at the CEO level. What prepared you to be a CEO? Because I don't think you were a CEO at Guide Dogs. What was that bridge?
Right. Well, that's a great question, and one that I hope other leaders listening might learn from. So I think back about who my mentors were throughout the years, and my dad was certainly my mentor at a young age. He was CEO of Tourism Victoria for 25 years. So as a young person, I would sit with him at events and at the Terrific Jazz Party, which he started, and he would have these napkins beside him and a pen, and he would, such a good reflective listener, he would just listen and write notes and listen and write notes. And actually at his service last year when he passed, that's what I did. I have a napkin with his notes in honor of what he inspired me to become. And so that C-suite for women is often hard to achieve, and I was really proud of myself. It was through the merger of Nevada Youth Center and Nevada Human Needs Center, and I could have been executive director, could have been my title, but I told I asked the board for the CEO role because I had earned it. I worked hard. My team works hard each and every day, and I do feel like opening up opportunities for women and modeling, who we can become is important in the roles that we play.
So I'm interested in knowing what skills you had that gave the board the confidence to hire you as a CEO when you had not had that role before? What did they see in you that for them to hire you instead of someone who'd already been a CEO?
Well, that's a great question, Joan. And I have to tell you that I went through a 4-month hiring process.
Oh, dear.
It was a national search. They even had finalists that lived in Hawaii and all over the country. And I prepared so hard for that interview. It was like I was writing a law, exam. And in preparation, and maybe these are just the standards that I hold for myself, but I prepared. I really thought, did a lot of research around human service work. I pretty much wrote a new strategic plan for them by the time I had finished the interview process. And I think what I showed them was my strong work ethic. I remember sitting in front of the board of directors. They had 2 finalists. I don't know who the other one was. And we were both brought in at different times to present in front of the board. And I was very nervous. And I prepared, and I think that hard work does pay off. And I asked a lot of people in my circle too for advice on what to prepare for, who were also executive directors themselves.
Can you share with us a pivotal moment that changed the direction of your career?
Well, that's an excellent question. Once I was out of university, I ended up working up in the White Horse in the Yukon, which is the largest city in Northern California, and I was administering environmental cleanup grants to mining companies. After that, I was administering energy efficient products and services for Crown Corporation. So I worked federal government, and then I worked Crown Corp. Once I went through the immigration experience that I did and ended up in the U.S., I really decided that I wanted to work in human service work and make a bigger impact. And I think the wonderful thing about working in nonprofit is there's more flexibility in the work. We can make a more direct impact, and we can ebb and change based on gaps in community. And I would encourage anyone who wants to work in nonprofit that they do, because we need more nonprofit professionals.
That's really interesting that you're, a very, very difficult time in your life directed you in a whole new direction where you've just excelled. Instead of getting crushed by it, you grew from it. That's great. That's great. You've had mentors throughout your life. Would you please share with us what you think is the importance of mentoring the next generation, and tell us what you've learned about mentorship and how to be a good mentor?
Again, great question. I think we have as much to learn from the next generation as we have the gifts we have to give to them. And I think for seeking mentors, trust is really important. And to build trust, I think that we have to walk the talk. And so finding a mentor who aligns with what makes your heart tick. I think your heart and head. And I've had people in my life who the reciprocity isn't there. And so they may be wanting to be my mentor, and maybe I'm not, in that place of being able to receive. And so I think just having that alignment is really important.
Have you had someone ask you to mentor them that you needed to decline?
I all the time get calls from people who want to have lunch or coffee or talk. And so I mentor people often in terms of helping them think forward. And it's often about whether I should enter this educational field or this career field, or I also get a lot of questions from people. I'm having this challenge at work, what would you suggest? And because I'm a very intuitive leader, sometimes I'm just going on intuition, and other times I'm going on information and data. But I do often have an answer. It might not necessarily be, the only answer, but I think just having thought partners is really important for our lives.
Have you had a long-term mentoring relationship, either that you've received it or that you've given it?
Well, I think that my most trusted advisors are my family. And I have a very deep-rooted family. My parents divorced when we were young, so we have several marriages that followed, and so we have a large blended family of big love. And every morning, my mom and our sisters, we text at least probably 30 times a day.
Oh my goodness.
So even in talking about today, they were part of this experience with me. And so I think just that village of support is really important.
What would you say are two strong values that you have that you lead forward with?
Well, I think in this world, compassion is really important as a leader, and to really lead from the head and the heart, to inspire others and help people tap into their intrinsic values. A lot of people have trauma in their background, and actually, being in a centered place of being a leader, everyone has something to give. And so I feel like in terms of our mentorship, we can help people ground in who they are as a person. My other value would be courage. So I feel like our team has really been on a courageous journey. I actually brought today our Achievement in Nonprofit Excellence Award that we received from CVNL, Heart of Marin, in 2021. And this was right after the COVID pandemic hit. And we really rose up for people in need in our community, and we kept our doors open. Our services went virtual and hybrid, and our weekly food pantry was a drive-through, and the need just exploded. And while winning awards is not why we do the work, it's nice to receive the acknowledgement. And so this was what our team received.
Congratulations.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a huge challenge for everyone, and I think the nonprofits particularly had increased demands and decreased resources. So congratulations on that. So Cheryl, I see you have brought something else to the table. Would you share with us what this is?
I would love to. This is a torch that I received in 2016 from an amazing community advocate. Her name was Ethel Siderman, and she actually was a Hall of Famer in 1992. And at age 84, she handed me this torch. And at that time, I didn't know that she would pass 3 months later. Ethel was just such an inspiring woman for all children and families, especially vulnerable kids in low-income households. And when she passed me this torch, she said, "Cheryl," and she stood up on the stage, and she said, "Cheryl, I want to pass you the torch to hold the vision that children can receive quality early childhood education." And Ethel was this amazing woman where she built this network of support for families all the way across Marin. I'm in Novato, and there's many subsidized centers all the way across Marin, and she really was an inspiration. And so I have that torch in my office, and I look at it every day, and I feel that Ethel would be shining down on us, proud of the work that's happening in Marin.
And no one said no to Ethel.
Yeah.
She was a tour de force of this community.
Absolutely.
For years and years and years. Given your experience and achievements, what are your hopes for the community of Marin going forward?
Well, I think we have a tremendous amount of work to do. The pandemic really widened the gap between the rich and the poor. Right now, a third of the people living in Marin County cannot afford basic needs, and for people of color and Latinx families, that rises to 70%.
Whoa.
And I really feel that it's a community responsibility for us to have access to families and their basic needs, such as housing. We offer rental assistance, food pantry. We have a Tuesday food pantry, childcare for working families so they can stay in the workforce. And to make such a change and lessen that gap, it's really going to require a lot of policy advocacy and upstream work, and that takes politicians being part of the solution, and that takes community members, even if they don't work in a nonprofit, to choose to keep their philanthropy local and invest in local nonprofits. We have so much work to do, and the piece that inspires me the most is people with lived experience willing to share their story now as part of their journey and make themselves vulnerable. And it's just so humbling, and I would invite anyone to be a part of the work that we do, because in Marin County, while people look at this wonderful, beautiful place as being wealthy and full of resources, we have a tremendous amount of work to do to protect our vulnerable people.
And have you found political and community allies?
I have. I know the mayor of Novato very well, Susan Wernick, and her husband used to be on our board many years ago. We have a wonderful board supervisor, Eric Lucan, who just succeeded Judy Arnold. Judy Arnold was a huge advocate for many years. Senator Mike McGuire, Congressman Huffman. And so we're fortunate in that we have aligned with politicians, and they have some hard decisions to make as public servants.
Well, your story is so rich. You've accomplished so much. What do you think so far is your biggest career legacy?
I would say the merger. Yeah, in 2018, we merged the Nevada Youth Center and Nevada Human Needs Center. And it was a tremendously hard process of, first of all, finding another nonprofit that aligned, with the work that we're doing and extended the work. And then, having board conversations, bringing together two cultures, two resources, making those hard decisions, bringing donors along. I would encourage other nonprofits to merge, and also going into it knowing that it takes a tremendous amount of resources. I do want to acknowledge Jim Duckworth, who's on my board of directors. He helped me so much with the legal contract readings, and also my CFO, Vanshika, who was my partner through the merger, and so many other people, board presidents, Michael Domer and David Short, and everyone just really saw this merger as they saw the vision of what community could look like when we bring together resources. And that saying, stronger together, is really true now in Novato. We're the largest anchor human service nonprofit, and we serve 10,000 people a year.
And so what do you say to nonprofits who want to hang on to their corner of it? What is the value for them for letting go of some of that control to merge for a larger cause? How do they make that leap?
That's an excellent conversation. I really see ourselves as stewards of these resources, and we need to make ourselves vulnerable. These are challenging times, and this is not our resource to hold. It's resources of community. And I think we need to think more effectively. We need to work more vulnerably and compassionate, and just really see the bigger picture and the bigger vision of what Marin needs in order to serve our most vulnerable people.
I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much. This has been inspiring. You've had an incredible life experience, and I appreciate very much your sharing that with us. The Marin Women's Hall of Fame is a program of the YWCA Golden Gate Silicon Valley. If you would like to learn more about the Hall of Fame and our honorees, please visit www.yourywca.org. Thank you so much.